The great Tim Layden, who joins us now, quarter century at Sports Illustrated. Last couple of years on our NBC Sports team, has covered so many Olympics and Final Fours and derbies and championships in so many sports. You know his words, and his voice has become really one that frames things so well. So Tim, and I'll warn everybody, there's a couple of seconds extra delay between Tim and I, so just be patient. Tim, can you frame for us the meaning of the first Saturday in May without all those fans in your eye?
Yeah, it's a very, it's been an unusual time for everybody for a couple of months now, Mike, but I think for a lot of us that are used to being in Louisville this week, it really kind of was hammered home. You know, this is a week when we all would have spent every morning out on the backside talking to people and trying to frame the stories that might unfold on Saturday, and then going back to the press center and writing our stories all day and going out and having dinner together during the week. And it's just, it's a really special week on the calendar. And I think the entire strangeness of this virus situation that we're in has been overwhelming, but it's, I think, little landmarks and signposts really hammer it home, and this week has definitely been one of those.
Yeah, you come to the mileposts that have been so filled with familiarity for us, and when that familiar is removed, you feel a little vacant, even more vacant in the soul, as all of us have been. Tim, there is an essay, by the way, that Tim has, or a story, I should say, about last year's Kentucky Derby, won by Country House, but of course maximum security crossed under the finish line first. You were right there in the middle of the emotions as we were waiting to find out what was going to happen. A year later, can you make any sense of it all?
Yeah, yes and no. It was, I think, ultimately that the stewards made the right decision to disqualify maximum security. That's the easy part of this equation and remains the easy part of it. The more challenging part is everybody probably realizes that maximum security was the best horse on the racetrack that day. The Country House wasn't really bothered by the incident that occurred and probably was never going to catch maximum security. But the rules of racing and the rules that the stewards have to follow are complex and arcane, and they were followed that evening, and the right outcome was reached. But it didn't leave anybody comfortable that night, and I think it has left people uncomfortable a year later. And, Mike, that's all been complicated by the revelations about maximum security's trainer, Jason Service, and about maximum security himself, that there were illegal drugs that were used in his barn and maybe on maximum security. And all of that just complicates a situation that was plenty complicated beforehand.
Exactly. And Country House not to be seen on the track again. Just some odd things involving the 2019 Derby. Tim, one last point here on horse racing. And you covered so many college football and college basketball, big events and big people. The sport of horse racing, like college basketball and football, has its problems, has its warts, and they are very public and discussed quite often. This sport comes to a larger audience usually one day a year. Usually that day is tomorrow. Where do you see the future of horse racing going over the next 5-10 years as the sport deals with a lot of internal problems right now?
Mike, I guess everybody's hope that really cares about horse racing is that obviously the biggest problem that arose a year ago was with all the horses that died, not only at Santa Anita but elsewhere. And I think a lot of good, smart people within the sport have made an attempt to grind their way forward and come up with solutions and somehow match up the genuine affection that people in the sport have for horses with the need to really drive those numbers down. And I think that's happening very slowly, and obviously the lack of an internal uniform structure in the sport has made that happen more slowly. The fact that the great pageantry and the wonderful stories of the Derby are going to disappear this year for at least 4 months, that's going to slow it down. But I don't think racing is going away, but I think that's, it's a cliche, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. I think that marathon continues, and I genuinely have faith in the people that care about racing to keep pushing it forward. And It would be nice if there were a big leap forward at some time, but that's not in the offing as of right now.
As we wrap in this virtual time, is there a virtual $2 bet or Bitcoin worth $2 or whatever that you would put on any one of those Triple Crown winners in the virtual race tomorrow that we're going to show?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea. It comes up, it came up a lot when Pharaoh was going for the Triple Crown, and then again was justified to rank all the Triple Crown winners. And, I think that it's easy to pick Secretariat because we all saw that Belmont. But if I get to pick the winner of that race based on what they were in the Derby, I'm going to pick Citation. The Secretariat that won the Derby was really just recovering from the illness that affected him in the Wood Memorial, and he wasn't the big red that we saw at Belmont. And I think Citation would beat him. I think there might be a few horses that would beat him on the first Saturday in May, not the second Saturday in June. But for the virtual race, I'm putting my virtual money on Citation.
Maybe we all have virtual money to bet on horse racing, right? Tim, thank you for your perspective as always, and we look forward to seeing you.
That's the only kind of money I do bet,
Downs
Mike.
in September. It's the way to do it. Thanks, Tim. Tim Layden, our NBC Sports colleague, joining us there. Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.